Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride in introducing the greatest show on earth.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Uncle Floyd podcast number 46. 46 of these we've done so far. I went to visit Floyd yesterday, and he was extremely busy with his therapy and everything else, and we didn't get a chance to do a podcast. So what I did was I took it upon myself to annoy the heck out of a good friend of ours. And here he is, Dave Artie Delmar Burd. How are you, Dave?
Just annoyed.
Annoyed?
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm glad to do this. I wish Floyd had time to do it, but I don't mind. So we did one of these already. I forget when. It was a while ago.
We did two of these already.
Well, we did one where you interviewed me and one where I interviewed you.
Right, exactly.
But I wanted to talk about my memories of Floyd himself. My concern, Soupy Sales, and right up until he died, I think his obituary, every time they talked about the Soupy Sales show, they would talk about the time, New Year's Eve, where he asked kids to send in money. And that anecdote, of course, it got distorted and changed every time they told it, but it was as if that was the only thing he ever did. He did hundreds of shows, not as many as we did, but 5 days a week for years, that adds up to, pretty quickly adds up to hundreds of shows, plus he was on in Chicago and L.A. and all that. So I don't want the Uncle Floyd Show to become a series of stories that get told over and over and over again. They came in one time and tried to repossess the piano. So I wanted to dig a little deeper and talk about some things that haven't been discussed before. Does that make sense?
That sounds like a great idea.
The first thing that comes to mind, just in terms of my admiration for Floyd and his talents, I don't know if you remember this, I'm sure you were there, but we were taping the show, and we just finished the show, we're ready to start the next one. We had about 5 minutes to change the tape and then get into costume for the next show. And the director comes out. I'm picturing Jeff Friedman. It might have been Mark Whitman. It might have been Neil Edwards. But the director comes out with this look on his face, saying, "Oh, Floyd, we're so sorry. We accidentally just erased the show we just recorded." And what had happened was they're looking around for a piece of blank tape stock they can use, and somebody said, "Oh, here, how about this one?" And they put it up, not realizing that was the one we had just recorded on. So they burned that, bulk erased it, and then put that tape up and said, "Uh-oh, that was Tuesday's show, and we got to do Tuesday all over again." And Floyd was upset, and it was a waste of everybody's time. But he said, "Okay, fine, let's just do it." So they play the theme music, and the show opens, and it's Floyd and Oogie, whoever it was, Mr. Jones. And Floyd did another 30-minute show that was completely different from the one that had gotten erased. Same bits, whether it was Ricardo Romantico or Jerry Gersino or whoever, the same characters, but all new material. I never saw anything like it in my life. So and I believe that happened more than once. I believe it happened twice.
Well, if I remember correctly, when we did the live shows, every time we do the live shows, it would be basically the same characters with the same intent of the sketch.
Yeah.
But it was never 100% the same any time.
Oh, no. Of course. But this was like, Jerry, let's say, I'm going to make this up because I don't even recall what it was, but let's say the concept was Jerry Gersino was mad at Philadelphia for trying to steal New Jersey's thunder. So they play the theme music. I live in New Jersey and I'm proud. Floyd comes on camera and he says, I'm mad at Delaware. I had lived an entirely different sketch using that character. And so there's two Uncle Floyd shows that were never seen by anyone except those present in the studio at that time, the cast and crew. Never aired.
I remember that happening.
Yeah. It was... the whoever was the director, they thought, oh my God, Floyd is going to kill us. He's going to be furious.
My mind says to me that was Phil Green.
Could have been Phil Green, yes, very possibly. And they were, understandably upset. They're like, oh, we just erased the show. But Floyd took it in stride and just went forward and made up a whole new thing on the spot. It's amazing what he was able to do. And, of course, we had to similarly, do whatever business we had to do differently than the time we had just done it, because that was a whole different deal. But I have so many memories of Floyd doing things that I didn't know were humanly possible, invention and creation of something on the spot without planning or rehearsal, and the ability to do it on demand again and again and again.
Well, that's the entire purpose of improvisational theater.
Yes, and although this was a little different, but yeah, it's the kernel is the same.
And it's the same mentality. It's the old commedia dell'arte idea of the character controls the situation.
Right.
And
yeah, so once you know you're going to be Jerry Giacchino, if that in fact was what it was, then you know you're going to be mad at somebody for something. And then it's just a question of picking a different target than the one you just did. By the way, the reason Floyd did that, the reason he ad-libbed an entirely new piece of business for the character, was because he didn't want to disappoint the people in the studio, figuring they wouldn't laugh at the same jokes twice. So he had to make up new jokes the second time.
Right. He didn't want to lose the audience reaction.
Yeah,
exactly.
We had a handful of people. It wasn't a crowd, but a handful of people in the room who were laughing, including Skip, whose laugh was the most pronounced. But we'd have fans and well-wishers standing in the back, and
family members.
He had to make sure they were entertained. So instead of 5 shows in one night, we did 6 that night. Still amazes me how much material we were able to turn out.
Well, one of the things that I have been thinking about recently is some of the different studios that we worked in. And I use the term studio very loosely when it comes to a couple of them.
Some of them were very loose.
Especially when you had to park in 4.5 inches of mud.
Yes, right.
And
I keep thinking that was Elizabeth, but it wasn't, right? What town was that?
No, that was Woodbridge.
Woodbridge, okay. Woodbridge, yeah, that was...
That was the Jim Monaco frozen warehouse of the North. Yes.
Yeah, we tried, but, man, that was a challenge. I remember Don K. Reed from CBS-FM was one of our guests, and his car got stuck in the mud and he couldn't get home.
Well, Lee Arliff's car got stuck in the mud there, too.
Yeah.
And we ended up pushing her out, and all of us were covered in mud for the final show because she had to leave early.
What a mess that was. You mentioned it the other day. Was it Tuesday night? Might have been during the stream on Tuesday night. But I have to correct your math. We taped in Hightstown for 3 days running. 7 shows on the first day, 7 shows on the second day, and 6 on the third day, making a total of 20.
Okay.
Because that was a month's worth, right? 4 weeks worth, anyway.
Right. We went down once a month, and we stayed in the
Scotchman Inn.
Yeah, the motel that was across the street from the studio.
Right. So I walked into that motel, total, cold call. Walked up to the guy, said, "You want a room?" I said, "No, I want to make you an offer. We're making a TV show across the street, and I want to get a free hotel room in exchange for a promotional announcement." And I made a deal with the owner of the motel, manager, whoever he was, to get a free room, and we would say, "Guests of the Uncle Floyd Show stay at the Scotchman Inn in Hightstown, New Jersey," which was not exactly, it wasn't a nice place, but at least I didn't have to drive home because it was in excess of 2 hours to get back to my apartment.
That's how we got the drum set, too.
Yeah.
When we were syndicated. Musical instruments by Victor's House of Music.
Right. You got a free drum set. So we used to plug this cheesy, cheap motel in exchange for a place to stay, because otherwise it was 2 hours there, 7 complete shows taped, and then another hour or two back home, and it was brutal. I don't remember how long we did that. I never kept a diary. I never kept notes, but it was long enough.
I can look it up. I have pretty good records about that time.
Yeah. But it was 7, 7, and 6, and the idea was the third day we took it easy. We only did 6 on the third day instead of 7. That was our vacation. We were taking only 6 shows in one day.
Well, the interesting part about that is once you got to the 7th show, it became a little bit looser than all the rest of them. I can tell which shows were taped last in most cases when I put something together for the Tuesday night thing.
Right, which was the 5th show.
While we're at it, let's plug the Tuesday night thing. Every Tuesday night at 8, we have a date on Stage It, and the easiest way to find that is to go to theunclefloydshow.tv. We'll take you directly to that.
There you go.
And go to theunclefloydshow.tv, and you go to and watch us do some silly stuff. I host it live. Dave is in the chat room with all the other people having fun. And
what was the last one we did? 236? Is that the last?
Hang on, I got the sheet right here in front of me.
Yeah, I think it was 236.
236, yes.
Yeah, 236 weeks of doing this, which is just amazing.
Floyd thought it would last 11.
Yeah.
And the people love it, and there's a small amount of money to come and watch it, but with Floyd being laid up in the facility, anything that we make over the cost of doing it goes to Floyd. So
yeah, a little cash flow.
Now, speaking of that, did you know the Bottom Line book is coming out finally?
I saw your post on Facebook. That sounds great. And Alan says we're in it more than once.
We're in it several times.
Wow.
He talks about the French fries. He talks about David Bowie coming to see us. Mm-hmm. And he interviewed Floyd. And I got interviewed as well for the book. And name of the book is Positively Fourth and Mercer. The story of the Bottom Line. Nice. And it'll be released on December 4th. And you can order it. You can pre-order it on Amazon right now.
Gotta get a copy of that.
You can go up there. It's only out in hardcover right now. That's the one that's going to be released. I'm sure the paperback will come out sometime down the road. But if you want to get a first edition, get it in there right now. And Amazon's great with it because depending on how many people order it, the price goes down.
Right.
So you go in there, lock it in, and whatever the lowest price is what you pay for it. So if you're interested in that book, it's going to have a whole bunch of stories and pictures and everything from the Bottom Line. And we have a part in the book. They have a lot more people. Let's face it, Springsteen started there. Dave Van Ronk used to play there all the time. You can name everybody in the music business, and they were there.
It's interesting, the Bottom Line was not our most lucrative gig, but it was the only one that was important. Because when we were at the Bottom Line, it meant something. We were kind of on the map. Whereas we could play a catering hall in Garfield and come on with more money, but who cared? This was
absolutely
the big time, and, a lot of other famous people had preceded us and followed us. You look at the marquee, and it says, Flo and Eddie on Tuesday, Uncle Floyd on Wednesday, and we go down the line of all the different big-name acts that were on the bill.
Do you remember the most lucrative live show we did?
I know what the most lucrative one was for me. What are you thinking about?
The Hub Music Center.
I don't think I was there.
On Long Island. Yeah, I think you were.
No, I don't remember that name.
That was a 1,600-seat theater, and we sold it out.
Wow. The best one for me, and it was a one-time only, was Montclair College. And usually the college would contact us and say, can we book the Uncle Floyd Show? And I was handling the booking in those days. I asked for our price, and if they could meet our number, then they would book us there and so on. But I went to Montclair, and I said, we'd like to do a show here. I want to rent your theater. And Floyd told me, oh, you can't do that. You're going to lose your shirt. And I said, no, I bet I won't. And I paid them a certain amount of money. It wasn't much. And then Floyd says, well, now you got to get insurance. That's going to cost a fortune. Insurance for 1,000 people or whatever it was. I called an insurance company. It was very reasonable. We had to print up tickets. And Montclair has their own, student print shop, part of their course is printmaking, I guess. So I don't know if they even charged me for the tickets. Maybe it was just like many thanks to. So I had the tickets printed up, which I still have, by the way, because we collected them. So I kept them all. And they were serially numbered, number 001, 002, 003 up to 1,000. And that was a good profit there for once. And Floyd told me, that's it, never again. We don't want you producing shows. I think I made more money than he did, but I was the one who took the risk, so that's how that works.
That's the way the business works. If you're the guy who takes the risk, you're the guy who makes the cash, or loses the cash. Yeah,
exactly. That first burlesque show, when we tried to revive burlesque unsuccessfully, I lost money on the first one. I think I made $40 on the second one, and it was hard to build an audience for that. Floyd really wanted to do it, so did I, but it never caught on. But Montclair State, I have fond memories of that. That was the most money I ever made.
I just whacked my head on the microphone.
Uh-oh. Not the part where you have the surgery, I hope.
No, that's covered up by the band of the headphones right now.
Oh, okay.
So if I hit that, I wouldn't feel. Most of the time I hit my head, I don't feel it anyway.
So here, I want to say something else about Floyd and how much I admire his talent. I'm thinking of the Beatles. Before we ever heard the Beatles, before they started recording, before those singles made it to the U.S. radio, and before they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, they spent, I don't know how many years, I'm sure experts out there could tell you, in Germany playing 8 hours a night. It wasn't Berlin. Where the heck were they? The Kaiser Keller and all that. But they performed as the house band, and they performed covers of American music. It wasn't their own stuff. But 8 hours on stage, they got to know what works and what doesn't work. When we play this song, people dance. When we play this song, people applaud. When we play this song, people sit on their hands. That one's not working, So by the time they got around to going in the studio and recording songs that they wrote, they knew very well what tempos worked, what chord changes worked, and they wrote their own songs because, okay, we know this is going to be a hit, and they were right. But all that practice and all that time on stage benefited them in their own, career when they stopped covering Chuck Berry and Little Richard and started doing their own material. And that's the thing about Floyd is by the time he went to the Uncle Floyd Show and started doing television, he had done, I don't know how many years, 4, 5, 6, at Gaslight Village, where he was on stage all day, literally all day until the park closed. He was on stage. He was playing piano. He was appearing in skits.
He was appearing in the live stuff on the grounds of the amusement park as well.
Yeah, and plus he had circus experience and carnival experience. He worked at freak shows, and so by the time the public saw him on television, he was well seasoned. He knew what jokes worked and was still doing some of the same material on the TV show that he had introduced in Gaslight Village. It's the same basic premise on a lot of things. That one line about, hey, if you want to see me on the David Letterman show, write to David Letterman and let him know. And originally it was Ed Sullivan, and then it became Jimmy Kimmel. He just kept updating it with whoever was...
Exactly.
But you can't discount how much that practice counted towards Floyd's ability to just say, all right, Scott, come on, we're going to do this, and make something up.
Well, and any art of any kind, music, artistry itself, they say you have to do 10,000 hours before you can be anywhere near successful.
There you go. Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Yeah, right.
And
I'd have to do the math and tell you how many years that is, but I'm sure he did 10,000 hours.
And that's one of the reasons why he and I got along so well, is because of the fact I had been performing since I was 7 years old.
Right.
And
you know,
we immediately fell into the rhythm.
Before Buster Keaton made a movie, he spent years on stage from infancy in vaudeville. So he knew that if he took a fall like this, it got a laugh. If he smiled afterwards, they stopped laughing, so he started, the stone face thing. And he had his character and his performing skills well honed by the time he stepped in front of a camera. It was all done to a live audience, and the live audience gives you your timing and gives you instant feedback on what's working and what's not. Whereas on television, you have to wait for the mail to find out what people like and didn't like.
I had a discussion with someone who's done a lot of drama, and they said that they did one comedy show. They did The Odd Couple.
Right.
And they couldn't take it because of the fact that what they felt was their rhythm as the character was being interrupted by the audience.
Right.
And that's not how comedy works. What comedy does is you have to use the audience's rhythm to set your timing.
Right. Oh, very wise, Scott. Yes.
So,
yes.
It's just really interesting. One thing I want to say about you is you are the prop master. Anything that had to do with something that looked really funny, you could come up with. I'll never forget the one thing that put me on the floor every time was Gus with the giant hammer.
Right.
You would drag that hammer out, and it wasn't as heavy as you made it look.
Right, yeah.
But you did a great job of acting that hammer weighing 80 pounds.
You know what that was? That I still have it, of course. You know what that hammer was?
What?
Floyd gave it to me. It came from a carnival. That's the hammer they used to whack that thing that shot up in the air and made the bell ring, the strongman competition. And it's made of wood. It's not metal. But that was something that Floyd had salvaged from his carnival days. And he said, here, use this. Maybe you can do something with it, But that's an authentic Carney hammer.
Well, the whole trick with doing that, I learned how to do that. I did a little bit of carnival work myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the trick with making that hammer work is you can't force the hammer down. You can't muscle it. What you have to do is swing it from the back and let gravity take it.
Okay.
And when it hits, that's when the bell rings.
Right.
Because if you're forcing it down, your muscles are actually holding it back.
Interesting.
So, little trick for anybody who wants to go out there and ring the bell and impress people.
So, speaking of props.
Yes.
I don't remember what it was, what the sketch was, whether it was Julia's Stepchild or something, but Floyd wanted a giant cake, and somebody was going to fall into the cake and get covered in whipped cream, So, it fell to me to make this, but they want to be big like a wedding cake, like 3-4 layers and huge. So I, of course, shaving cream, not real whipped cream. I use shaving cream for the outside, but the infrastructure was made of wet sponges. I got a whole bunch of sponges, which I had from Mr. Sponge, and wet them so it wouldn't hurt if you fell into it. They were squishy.
Right.
And arranged them in a layer, and then covered that with shaving cream. And then made another layer of sponges and covered those with shaving cream and so on. And built up this big cake. It looked good enough to eat, but it was useless for anything except falling on. But I remember Floyd liked that, and I made a steak one time. He wanted something with the steak, and he said, well, Floyd, you can't use real meat. I mean, that's going to stink up the studio again and be a real mess. So I made it out of clay, like a red, maroon-colored clay, and then put the white fat around the edge so it looked like a steak ready to be cooked, Usually that was the night before Floyd would call me and say, "We need a steak for tomorrow," and I had to just get to work on it right away. There was no advance notice, you know.
Well, there was no advance notice on just about anything we did. As a matter of fact, a lot of times Floyd and I would be in here on a Tuesday doing the recording for the Italian American Serenade radio show.
Right.
And we'd be playing a cut, and Floyd would say, I got a sketch for Thursday or Wednesday or whenever it was. It was usually Wednesday or Thursday we taped.
Yeah.
And he said, and I have no idea where to go with it. So we'd sit here and we'd throw it back and forth while the music was playing to come up with the punchline.
Right. Right.
And every once in a while it would turn into, I can't think anything, neither can I. All right, you eat it.
Yeah, well, there's always Scott falls down, Scott eats the prop, Scott gets hit on the head. That was the all-purpose punchline for something. We didn't have a way to end it. But there was a lot of really clever stuff that was happening that was, you know, I guess I have to use the word writing for, even though nothing was typed up in script form, but written down on a sheet of paper, notes, or a line or two, or maybe just a punchline on a sheet of paper. But Floyd's writing, he was still is an endless source of creative ideas for sketches. I went to visit him in the rehab facility where he is now recovering from a stroke. And he says to me, I have an idea for a sketch. You know, he was still working on stuff. And I said, oh, yeah, that does sound good. That sounds like something we would have done at New Jersey Network. Still coming up with ideas. And I'm ready to go. I have all the props. I'm ready to go.
He's still trying to talk me into coming into the rehab facility as Dr. What's the Matter? I'd get arrested. I'd get arrested.
You'd be the only one there who looks like a doctor. I can't tell the difference between the doctors, the nurses, the orderlies. There's a woman comes in to empty the garbage, and I say, oh, how's Floyd doing today? And she says, oh, I'm just here to empty the trash. Another one comes in, they all wear the same outfit. Another one comes in to give him his lunch, and I say, oh, doctor, did Floyd get his meds yet? I'm not a doctor, I'm just here to bring lunch.
Well,
I don't know why, but...
The serious doctors have a white coat on. I've run into a couple of them.
Oh, so maybe I haven't met a doctor yet. I've just seen these people in the same blue uniform. Yeah. They all look alike. Nobody knows nothing. They won't tell you anything.
A blue uniform with a stethoscope is a nurse.
Okay. The stethoscope helps.
So
yeah,
that's what you have to watch out for.
There you go.
Well, believe it or not, I think we've done our half hour.
Oh, man, it goes so quickly.
We have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So much to keep going with this. And, we'll do it again. You and I will do it again whenever timing doesn't work out with Floyd. And, again, like last time, hang on. Don't hang up. I'll get back to you as soon as this is over. And as soon as I close out. And, we'll talk about a few other things
Hamburg
going on.
Hamburg, that's what the Beatles used to play.
Hamburg, yes.
Yeah,
Hamburg.
Yeah.
I knew you'd come.
I
knew you'd come up with it.
Come with it.
See, you said Hamburg, and now I'm hungry.
Now you want a hamburger.
Now,
so the Beatles in Hamburg and
Dave.
Floyd in Lake George.
Hey guys, if you'd like to get a question into us here, please email it to Uncle Floyd. Email it to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. Please tell your friends about this. You know, we have a lot of fun talking about the old times and just goofing around and just having fun. So if you'd like to see us on Tuesday night at 8, we have a date. For This Was the Uncle Floyd Show, and you can get there very simply by typing into your computer theunclefloydshow.tv. That's theunclefloydshow.tv, and we're there. Don't forget the book for The Bottom Line, Positively Fourth and Mercer, is coming out December 4th. Be a great Christmas present for a friend or something, anybody who's a music fan. And we'll see you next time for number 47. This is Scott Gordon with Dave Burd, and we'll see you later on.
Bye, everybody.
This program was produced in the studios of Scott Gordon Enterprises, Incorporated in Paramus, New Jersey.